Hey guys, so there's some funny stuff going on in Canada right now. Uh, there was this Syrian that beat his wife with a hockey stick. That's not the funny part, but obviously not. But this one politician, this conservative politician, Kelly Leach or Litch, she made a tweet about it, about the story, and she's like, "Oh, a bloody hockey stick and a battered wife. That's the legacy of the Trudeau Syrian refugee program." And I just read an article from Huffington Post and other Maclean's and whatever, just like, oh, she can't hide her racism with this tweet. She's this. Don't talk about what happened. Just call her a racist, and she's a racist, racist, racist. And it's like during all of their articles, they don't even mention the fact that, you know, this guy didn't know that it was illegal to beat your wife. Like, the translator was like, "Why didn't you teach them enough? Like, why didn't you teach them that it was against the law?" Because, and he had a translator because he's been here for a year and a half, but he still doesn't know English, right? Or French. So that's pretty fucked up. Like, we've been paying for English lessons for quite a while, and he still doesn't even know a lick of English. So, that's kind of stupid. And secondly, like, we pay these people like tons of money, like tons of really grade A benefits when they get here. And because he's a Syrian refugee and we don't deport people back to unsafe zones, we're stuck with this guy, right? So that's pretty fucked up. But his wife was even defending him, right? And like, this is a part of their culture. Trudeau fast tracked like 30, 40,000 refugees into Canada and didn't bother, like, checking into them at all. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry, the UN did a check. It's like, really, really, man, the UN? The UN doesn't do shit. Like, those people do not have papers. All their papers are destroyed. The UN does not vet them properly. So if you're relying on them, you're an idiot, right? And like, clearly we didn't do it. And this Kelly Leach girl, she got a bunch of shit like a year ago as well because she wanted to do a Canadian values test, and everybody's like, "Oh, there are no Canadian values. We don't believe in anything. That this is racist to say that we have values and that other people may their values may be against. That's racist to say that." But really, it would have kept people like this out, who they're so stupid they don't even know that it's against the law to beat your wife. Like, obviously, maybe he's smart enough. He just used that as a fucking excuse because we're so stupid here in Canada, Western countries, that we're gonna believe it, right? And be like, "Oh, okay, well, you know, I guess you didn't know that you raped a little kid or you did this." It's like, well, you didn't know it was legal. It's in your culture. This is the problem with like cultural relativist and like everything's not relative. Some things are better than others, right? And they were jumping down her throat with that tweet. It's like, oh, people beat each other in other cultures too. It's like, yeah, of course they do, but like, they do, this is literally a part of their culture. Like, here, you go to jail, right? Like, people keep that stuff hidden on the down low, and it happens much less. But there, it's like, okay, she was trying to cover for him. She was trying to, like, she didn't want to tell the police about it. And like, women do that here too, but like, really, she really, really didn't want to, because yeah, she didn't think it was that big of a deal, right? So, I liberals always seem to direct their anger, their hate, their frustration whenever a terrorist attack happens, whenever these things happen, to the people calling this type of behavior out, or calling out the obvious. Like, hey, if that one girl who got fired from Breitbart was like, you know what, there would be no terrorist attacks if there was no Muslims in London or whatever. And that's true, right? That's not untrue. That's true, right? That's not false. So it's not a racist, bad statement. Because first of all, Muslims are not a race either. So, Syrians aren't also a race. So, you know, that's why nobody knows what the word racist means anymore. It's because people just throw it around and just be like, oh, that's racist, that's racist. It's like you don't, like, use it when it needs to be used, right? Otherwise, you confuse the fuck out of people, and then people are arguing over fucking definitions, right? So instead of getting mad at this, at Kelly, why don't you get mad at the Syrian fucking refugee? And unfortunately, in Canada, we don't deport them because we're not going to deport them to unsafe war zones. We're going to keep them. And this guy got like 8 days and like a year of community service. Like, just a slap on the wrist, right? It's like, well, you didn't know. It's like, no, fuck that shit, man. Like, they gotta send him back. They gotta send him back. That's my opinion. But obviously, with our government, and yeah, that's never gonna happen. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. Like, Trudeau wants to increase Canada's population to 100 million. He's gonna do that with refugees. One of the reasons he wants to do that is to pay for. He's hoping they're going to replace taxpayers, right? They're gonna start chipping in and paying for all the services because we're not having kids anymore, right? And not only that, it's going to completely change the culture. He doesn't, like, this is a divide and conquer type strategy, right? So the more multicultural, different, like, it can work. Some cultures are compatible with each other, and regardless of race or whatever, they're compatible with each other, but some are not. And Islam is not a culture that is very compatible with pretty much any other culture. And once they get past a certain percentage point, then they get kind of unmanageable, right? Because they get more secluded within their own communities, and then they have more influence, like their older generation Muslims and whatever, like, influence the younger ones more when there's more of them around. Because when there's less, 1 or 2%, they're more dispersed within your population, so they have more influence from just regular secular people. But when there's too many, that's the only people they're around is other Muslims that come from the Middle East or Asia or Africa, and are always like, hey, do this, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. So yeah, they're gonna get more radicalized quicker, and then Canada is gonna end up like fucking, France and shit. And it's like, this is what Trudeau's moving towards. And the more destruction there is type amongst the people, like what's going on in London, where that guy ran over those people, like, they want this type of stuff to happen. They want us to. They wanted this. This is why they don't do anything when there's terrorist attacks. They want the right, or they want just average people to, get fucking pissed off finally and just go kill random people, random Muslims. So then they could, like, justify doing, like, okay, now we can put these restrictions on you. Now we can, you know, censor the internet. Now we can put martial law. And it's like, now, this justifies them having more control over the populace, because, it doesn't really matter how poor and fucked up we get in our own communities. Like, they're in their gated communities, they're rich. Very little is going to affect them, even if our economies collapse, right? Like, they're still going to have a lot of money. They already have the resources, right? Even if there's no money, they already have, like, the gadgets, right? The trucks, the houses, the yards, the connections, whatever. So they're going to be okay. And it's just not going to be good for us. So, like, we need to think about this constant inflow of refugees that we're bringing, like 40,000 every year, because there's only 30 million Canadians. It's not going to take very long, right? These people have like 5 fucking kids, and we're not going to force any laws when it comes to polygamy and stuff like that on them. So they're going to have like 5-6 wives, and they're all going to be on welfare, because we're not going to take them off of it. We're going to leave them on it for a long time, which they already have extremely good benefits right now, way better than. See, that's one of the problems in Canada too. Is like, when people come here, we give them better benefits than the actual citizens, and it's like, what the fuck? That makes no sense, right? And it's like, I can understand in some cases with refugees, but like, Canada has no obligation to take in this many people, and it's just putting a burden on us. And these people are not going to assimilate. This guy still didn't know English for a year and a half. He's beating his wife, and he doesn't even know our laws. So, smarten up, Canada. If you like my content, subscribe, and have a great day.